give you time to turn. If you're watching the video, Sherry, we're doing section 9. Sherry's the only one we're missing today, isn't it? Do what?
You were talking to her, weren't you?
I was just on the tape so that she would know which session we're in.
What I said, where is Sherry?
Oh,
No. Confuse me. Yeah, I know. Forget about me.
When God created the heavens and the earth, how did he do it? The Bible tells us, then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God said, let the waters under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle and creeping things, wild animals of the earth of every kind, and it was so. God spoke, and it was so. By his words, everything was created. God shows us how powerful words can be. Our words don't have the power that God's do, but they can still do much good or harm. The passages from Proverbs at the top of your outline reads, reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. The power of words is a theme that comes up again and again in Scripture. In one of the 10 Commandments, for example, God warns us against bearing false witness, Exodus 20:16, instructing us to watch what we say and to make sure our words are building others up instead of tearing others down. To a great extent, what makes Stephen ministry so effective is the power of words. Jesus, the Word, promises healing, forgiveness, and new life. As Stephen ministers, you deliver comforting words that God can use to bring healing, hope, and help. Likewise, your active listening helps care receivers put their innermost feeling into words, which can help them move toward wholeness. Then there are words that you read, study, hear, share, discuss, and put into practice throughout this training, which will equip you for this caring ministry. In all these ways, our careful use of words makes Stephen's ministry a powerful ministry of care for hurting people. When we're with your care receivers, you'll hear words they need to share in order for healing to take place. These same words, however, could do great damage if they were shared outside of the relationship. We all know from life experience how important confidentiality is, and your pre-class reading reinforced that understanding. In this class session, we'll work together to increase our understanding and hone our skills so we will all keep confidentiality as we provide care. Let's start by asking Jesus Christ, the Word of God incarnate, to be present in our words during the class session. Let us pray. Lord Jesus, you are the Word who brings salvation. You spoke God's powerful words to us and brought us forgiveness and new life. Give us the understanding and self-control we need to use words wisely as we care. Prevent us from being ever indulging confidential words or observations, except when it is necessary to protect people from harm. Bring understanding and enlightenment through the words we speak and hear during this class. Use them to shape us into the caregivers and the disciples you have created us to be. Amen. And Doyle, I'll go get you the click. I forgot to bring the click.
Confidentiality. When I was with a big CPA firm, and I taught the class on confidentiality, it is very important. To start, you'll have a chance to talk in pairs of 3, and about someone that you've told something confidential to that broke that trust, or that just happened to know something about you that broke the trust of that. And think a minute about situations that you've had in the past, and then I want each of you to share with each other, and we'll talk about it as a group after that. So have at it.
I can think of something when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I told my sister, and I think it was like, it was just me, her, and she went straight and told them, I never, this is 65 years later.
There you go.
She just brought to yes. I don't think of anything as a. Yeah, we're old. It's hard to remember things.
I know it is. I've thought about that myself. And it is hard to remember.
Now, I remembered when I was 8 years old and I told my sister something, and she went straight and told somebody. And she didn't want no count. That's the one I haven't forgotten. After all these years. I don't hold it again.
Y'all got to think of something now.
I don't think of it as an adult. I mean, I can't remember anything. I've told people that they told somebody something they found and I didn't know it.
You got one? All right.
But that's.
I can tell a lot of things in secret.
Yeah.
She yells.
Hey,
She heard her.
I hope you keep them.
Always.
We had to take her.
Oh, I always keep confidentiality. It does, breaking confidentiality does more damage than almost anything else you can do to someone.
So we decided it would be best if we didn't tell mom and dad.
Right,
Somebody told them. I
right.
think it was me. Somebody else told me.
Exactly.
So when I went to mom and dad's, they jumped on me. Somebody else told me. Yeah, I was brother the confidentiality. That's right. The renegade. I can't help it. I did.
Connie and Francis, that's just an open book. They have nothing more confidence.
I thought that we were going to leave here, but not this much sleeping. Tell my sister to make it home tonight and tell her I come home. You didn't tell me not to tell anybody, did you? But you done. But that's just all, the only one I remember. I just don't remember the one at all. Never trusted her again.
But I have one that I, just in case this happens.
You can speak for me.
I management consultant in Brussels. We were doing a computer security study for a big client, and they had a methodology for doing this. That company did, but they wanted us to conduct it, so they gave us their methodology, which was very good, and we used it. They were very happy. So then, and then we had another client 2 or 3 months later with the same thing. Only they didn't have a methodology. Well, we had a project manager went out and doing the project, and he had no mobile ready. He was in the hospital. Somebody's going to have to take the job over. And I got in looking at his work papers to get somebody to take it over. And he was using that other client's methodology, and, which is no. We gave both those clients their money back. We fired that guy.
To get out of the hospital.
Once he got out of the hospital. And we just couldn't be at it's 2 Fortune 500 companies. And you feel rotten when you got to go tell a client that you've stolen something from methodology from them. So it's stuff like that. If you can just think of anything, not just that you told somebody something, but that they know about something that's confidential to you. Well, you can understand how that would be very. Well, then, all right, how to communicate. All right, how to communicate about confidentiality. The key thing in this module is that you can be confidential about maintaining confidentiality because the guidelines are simple and straightforward. Focus group 1, now this is on page 191 in your big book. List core guidelines you read in your pre-class reading. So look over focus group number 1, and I tell you, since it's just us chickens, Hazel, why don't you read that out loud?
Where are you?
Page
Thank you. Guidelines for maintaining confidentiality. Do not share with anyone, including your spouse and close friend, the name of your care receiver, any information about them, or anything that happens to their care and visits. Number 2, neither confirm nor deny that you are someone's Stephen minister. If you're considering sharing potentially confidential information in order to help your caregiver receiver, such as seeking in outside resources to provide additional care and support for them, always ask your care receiver for permission first. Number 4, even if information about your care receiver is public knowledge, treat it with confidentiality and exercise great care if others bring up the topic. Number 5, remember that safety supersedes confidentiality. If there's a risk that the care receiver or someone else may be harmed, you will widen the circle of confidentiality.
Yeah. We had one, since we've had the Stephen ministry here, we had one person that broke that trust. It's kind of funny. It's an older lady, the Stephen minister, and she was doing at nursing home, doing, matter of fact, going to see my mother-in-law once a week. And she'd write in the register we have at the register, she'd put such and such a name, Stephen Minister. You remember that, Bob? But we lived. We made it. What we were doing when we first started, we had Stephen ministers, we had caregivers, but we didn't have any care receivers. So we just assigned people that were in the nursing home for everybody to get it. But we learned something there to be very careful about.
How do you neither confirm nor deny that you are someone's Stephen?
You say, I cannot confirm nor deny that I'm Stephen.
I can't tell you. Right.
I have said those words.
That was what was in my head, that you just have to say it. And that way they can do whatever. They can think whatever they want to. But
one thing we've had over the years is somebody will come up to us, say, to one of us, say, so and so ought to have a Stephen minister. You guys ought to be out. And then, well, we said we cannot confirm or deny that, but they'll tell us that when, by the way, they did that on one person that was currently receiving Stephen minister training. I said, we can't tell you whether we do or not or have or hadn't.
Well, that makes more sense than we can either confirm or deny. Okay.
Well, if I say I cannot confirm or deny, that sounds like a politician.
Yeah. So you can just say something like, we keep our relationships confidential.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what we do. So we can't say whether or not someone is a Stephen minister.
We or has had.
Yeah, you don't have to. I've always said that before, you cannot confirm or deny, but you.
I have said it, I
It's a
cannot
little
confirm
different,
or
something
deny.
to state it a little different
That's not
way.
in my, way I would say things.
Before you meet with your care receiver the first time, the pastor or one of us would go out and talk to somebody and explain what Stephen ministry is and how to get the caregiver's permission to assign a Stephen minister. During the, by the way, in our church, that is done by Robert. And then one of us, well, me with men and Sandra with women, that we go meet with them and explain the do's and don'ts of being a care receiver. Uh, During this preparation interview, the pastor also will explain that a caring relationship is confidential. Describe the instances in which safety supersedes confidentiality and answer any questions. That if we think somebody is about to do themselves harm or commit suicide or something, we speak up at that.
If someone says to you, I feel like so and so would benefit from a Stephen minister, do y'all contact that person or do you and offer, you know,
Yeah.
for them to have a Stephen minister, or do you wait for that person to come and ask for a Stephen minister? Does that
And I'm thinking,
We contact.
well, we
So
more than
someone
likely
came to you and
we
said, you know, so and so's having a hard time. I feel like they might benefit
Yeah.
from having a Stephen minister. You would
Oh, yeah.
contact that person.
will contact them.
Okay.
Chances are real good that we've already contacted them.
Okay.
Contacts a lot. He knows.
If someone tells him,
He knows before someone tells
or
him.
even, yeah, or even if you just
And
know
he
that
may have
person.
already contacted. They said, well,
Yeah.
If I become aware of a situation, I think somebody needs one. Step one is I go talk to Robert.
Okay.
And if coming from him, as a pastor, if he says, I think you can benefit having a Stephen minister, it's a lot.
carries more weight.
Yeah, then.
Yeah.
if we
Yeah, that's right.
Say, you know, you're not gonna try one of us.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That answers that. Thank you.
But then you can't go back to that person and say,
So and so.
we took care,
We took care of that.
Yeah. Okay.
But 9 times out of 10, we've already talked to that person. And maybe they're Stephen minister. Maybe they've got a Stephen minister. Maybe they don't.
Now, here's a scenario that, and I'm asking you all. If somebody thinks Joe Blow needs a Stephen minister, and they come to you and say so, and Robert sees him and he says yes, and you assign me to be Joe Blow's Stephen minister, can I tell Joe Blow during our discussion, if you would you talk to Paul and tell him if you have a Stephen minister, because he's the one that said to start with that he thought you ought to?
Are you asking us or?
No, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
So,
I don't, they should never know who made the recommendation.
no.
Okay.
They should never know who made the
So
recommendation.
that's under the
No, and it's-
same umbrella.
If they do ask, well, how did you, well, why did you think I needed a Stevens minister? Then the answer is simply, well, Robert thought of it.
Okay.
It's just simply that the pastor thought it might help.
I had one that I wound up violating this confidentiality rule. But a man that lived in Hansville, not a member of our church, we didn't know him from Adam. His daughter lives in Michigan, who was a Stephen minister, called us, and I wound up talking to her. And I don't know if this was before you were here, Robert. I think it
I think
was.
it was.
And I talked to Joe Blow, And we met for lunch at Luna's. And twice, actually, we met twice. Because he had to, I told him about it. He said, well, it sounds interesting. Let me think about it. I think he wanted another lunch. And then I did. And he decided he did not want a Stephen minister. I called his daughter and told her that he did not want a Stephen minister. So I never knew if that really violated the spirit of this or not.
Not a Stephen minister. I don't know either. But, yeah, we had that same situation with the female in our church who recommended her niece. And we contacted her niece on like 3 different occasions, and she didn't want to Stephen minister. And we never went back to her and said, your niece just has refused to have. And so then that lady thought that we weren't doing anything about her request. And so the confidentiality really caused an issue. So somewhere in
Well, I went back to him.
Yeah. Okay.
On the next page, focus note 2, somebody read that.
Explaining confidentiality to your care receiver. I know that name of Pastor Stephen's leader told you about confidentiality, and I just want to emphasize that whatever we discuss is just between the two of us. So feel free to share whatever you're thinking and feeling. What you say to me will remain confidential. Even the fact that I'm your Stephen minister will be confidential.
I tell when I'm the Stephen minister, I tell people essentially those exact words. Just it is confidential, and people appreciate it. By the way, you have to you really have to remind them along the way that it's not good, because they might say, now this is important that people not know this, or given so you remind them that we won't say a word. In addition to emphasizing the confidential nature of your caring relationship, it's also good to mention supervision. Focus note 3 shows how you would do this. How about, Connie, you're elected to read focus note 3.
Describing supervision to your care receiver. Name of Pastor Stephen leader mentioned to you that Stephen ministers participate in supervision. Twice a month, I meet with a small group of Stephen ministers and we discuss how we can provide the best care for our care receivers. Everyone in the group protects confidentiality, and we don't share the care receiver's name or any information that might reveal the care receiver's identity.
And y'all know about the supervision meetings.
Is it once a month, though?
It's once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
And Stephen Minister recommends you do it every 2 weeks, but we do it once a month. And it works wonderful the way we're doing it. Most care receivers will be fine.
We will have at least one whole session and more than that on process of supervision.
Yeah.
Later on.
I think it's 17 or something like that. Most care receivers will be fine with that basic description and will be ready to move on to the purpose of your care and visit. If the care receiver does have a question, answer them generally, trying to keep your response brief. Your care receiver needs to know about supervision, but doesn't need to dwell on it. You can help by talking about supervision briefly, confidentially, and in a non-anxious way. In the unlikely event that your care receiver is concerned about your participation in supervision, listen carefully to those concerns. Then respond as best you can to reassure them. It's extremely rare that a care receiver would indicate they do not want you to participate in supervision. I've never had it happen. Now, if that does occur, say something like the words in Focus Group 4 on page 193. Right back around to you, Hazel.
focus note 4.
Uh-huh.
What to say if your care receiver does not want you to participate in supervision? Thank you for letting me know about your concerns. I wouldn't want anything to keep you from receiving care. I wouldn't want anything to keep you from receiving care that would be helpful for you. I can assure you that we are very careful to protect confidentiality in our supervision session. Supervision is an essential part of Stephen ministry, and I've made a commitment to participate in it so I can provide you the best possible care. In order for me to be your Stephen minister, I will need to receive supervision. Listen to the care receiver's response. Right? You read the rest of that?
Yeah.
If the care receiver still doesn't want you to participate, you could say, would you like me to mention your concerns to either the pastor or the Stephen minister or Stephen leader so we can talk about how we might work this out? Listen to the care receiver's response.
Bottom line is, we're going to have supervision. We're not going to negotiate this away. So that's the way it gets worked out. If somebody sticks by that, no, I won't agree for you, then you resign. That sounds tough, but that's the way it works. And a caregiver can't be just left out on an island by themselves. We need that encouragement from the supervision group.
And I can't imagine this coming up unless there's an issue.
Right.
I mean, because they were told about supervision and the confidentiality there before they ever agreed to have it. So I'm thinking the only thing that might happen is if they hear from somebody something that they find out that you're my care receiver, and I hear, oh, Noel's your care receiver? Well, how'd that happen? Then I might have an issue with supervision.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And if we mess up, then we got that to deal with. So the best thing about supervision, the best way to think about that is we should talk about the relationships, how to improve those relationships. Just the relationship, not the care receiver, not the situation, just the relationship. And if we can stick to that, then that won't ever be a problem.
Yeah. Very, remember, this has been said before, but the care receiver's name is not mentioned. And as Bob said, the circumstances is not mentioned.
Is that, I would explain, now they're given lots of information about before they ever decide to accept the Stephen ministry, is that right? There's like a form or something.
Somebody's coming to talk to them. Explain things, so they can ask questions.
I mean, I was just wondering if that was in written information.
Yeah, and they sign that they agree. Yeah.
And all that.
Right.
Okay.
We
So
haven't.
they actually know that before you ever
Yeah, that's
go
what I
to
said.
meet.
So this conversation should never come up
Okay.
unless there was an issue.
Yeah.
If there's an issue.
As far as I know, it's never come up in our group.
Okay.
And I've been in it since Bob and I've been in it since the very beginning, Sandra since very early.
Okay.
We'll talk more about that, how to explain confidentiality supervision to your receiver during the first care and visit. Most of the time, once you explain that supervision is a structural process designed to maintain confidentiality, care receivers are okay with that. That's true. If your care receiver does have reservations, one is the Stephen listeners will help you to find a solution. You may also need to get pricking on that. You may also need to return to the topic of confidentiality from time to time during the caring relationship. If your care receiver expresses concerned about confidentiality, take time to listen carefully, then reaffirm your commitment to keep the caring relationship confidential. Or if the care receiver mentions some very sensitive information and then expresses second thoughts about having shared so much, you can reassure them by overemphasizing that everything shared will remain between the two of you. Focus Group 5 contains suggestions about what you might say to reassure your care receiver about confidential nature of the caring relationship. Whose turn is it to read? All right, read number 5.
Possible ways to reassure care receivers about confidentiality. I want to assure you that I will keep everything that we talk about confidential. Let me remind you that everything we say here is strictly confidential. I will not share it unless you give me permission and it's appropriate for me to do so. I won't let anyone else know what we say. You can feel free to say whatever is on your mind. You seem uneasy about sharing some very sensitive matters with me, and I understand that. I want to remind you about what I said before about confidentiality, though, and I encourage you to feel free to talk about anything with me.
There may be times when someone asks you about your care receiver. Since typically no one knows who your care receiver is, this is unlikely. There can be exceptions. For instance, your care receiver might tell someone that you are receiving care from them, and that person might approach you, and that happens. If someone asks whether a particular individual is your care receiver, it's often good to give one of the responses in focus group 6. Connie?
What to say if someone asks the identity of your care receiver? Since Stephen Ministry is confidential, I can't confirm that I'm anyone's Stephen Ministry. That information is confidential. I can't say one way or the other because my work as a Stephen Minister is confidential. As a Stephen Minister, I'm not at liberty to share who is or is not a care receiver, since Stephen Ministry is a confidential ministry.
I mean, any of those quotes there would be fine. And I cannot confirm or deny would be a good one too. These responses are true and assertive. They don't reveal any confidential information, and they help others understand the seriousness of Stephen Ministry confidentiality. What if a friend or relative of your Stephen receiver learns about the caring relationship from the carriage receiver and asks you for information? You might say something similar to focus group 7. Hazel?
How to respond to questions from a care receiver's relative or close friend. I appreciate your concern, but because Stephen Ministry is confidential, I'm not able to talk about his care relationship. I hope you understand. As a Stephen Minister, I am bound by confidentiality. I appreciate your concern for so-and-so, but I don't have any information I can share. Since Stephen Ministry is a confidential caring ministry, I wouldn't be able to provide any information about any care receiver. The best thing is probably to talk to that person.
These responses acknowledge the inquirer's concern, but truthfully and assertively denying the request. If a person ignores your initial answer and persists in asking for information, one good response is simply what you've said before. Firmly and gently assert that you won't talk about confidential matters. If you ever have such an encounter, it's a good idea to let your care receiver know what happened and what you said. That way they won't be caught off guard if a friend or relative mentions having talked with you, and we know that you're protecting confidentiality. Although it's unlikely an inquirer will try to pressure you to talk about confidential matters. For example, a family member of the care receiver might push very hard to get you to reveal what the care receiver has told you. If that were to happen, remain gentle but firm in your response. Focus group 8 on page 195 gets into this.
If the inquirer pressures you, Stephen Ministry relationships with their care receivers are strictly confidential and we're simply not able to discuss them. I hope you understand.
You say that in whatever words that come to you, but that's got to be it. And then don't apologize for maintaining confidentiality. Whatever the nature of the request, there's no need to apologize for maintaining confidentiality. You not only have a right, but also a duty to keep information about your care receiver confidential. There's no need to apologize, get defensive, evade questions, or pretend you don't know. Simply respond calmly and directly in the way that we just described. Most of the time, inquiries have similar concern for the care receiver. They deserve an honest, assertive response that explains how Stephen Minister caring relationships are confidential. This response also reinforces for them the commitment Stephen Ministries has to confidentiality, which can help them feel more confident about the ministry. As Stephen Ministers become an important part of your life and faith, there may be times when your spouse, a close friend, or someone else you know ask what you do in Stephen Ministry. There may also be times when you simply want to talk about your experience as Stephen Ministers, which is great. You can certainly talk about the aspects of Stephen Ministry without violating confidentiality. As the graphic in your outline shows, the fact that you're a Stephen Ministry and the basic name of what you do are not confidential, so you can safely share general aspects of your ministry. For example, you talk about the relationship skills you've learned, insight you've gained about life, ways your faith has deepened, and your overall sense of satisfaction serving in the ministry. It's perfectly appropriate to share this kind of information with family, friends, and others. When you won't share, though, what you won't share is anything related to your care receiver or your caring relationships. Since that information is confidential, never tell anyone your receiver's name or detail that can point to their identity. Don't talk about anything your care receiver has said or done, and if you're ever unsure something is appropriate to share, keep that information to yourself. I typically, somebody asks me what we do as Stephen's minister, I say we listen to people and confidentially give them feedback, and that's it. Try to see what's bothering them. I don't know who's next.
I'm next.
Widening the circle of confidentiality for safety reasons. Let's see where we at. I see that. There we go. All right, in your pre-class reading, you learned about the rare exceptions where your priorities as a Stephen minister shifts from maintaining strict confidentiality to protecting the safety of your care receiver or others, which may involve widening the circle of confidentiality. In the rare instance that you encounter a situation in which you think there's a risk to safety, that is, if your care receiver might harm him or herself, might harm someone else, or might be involved in an abusive situation, you'll want to involve one of the Stephen Ministry crisis contacts. Here's the information about the contacts which you can write down. See focus note 9. Your number one crisis contact is me. Focus note number 9. Your number one crisis contact is me. And if you don't know my number, it's 256-794-4582. Do we have a secondary contact? Be me. I'm primary and secondary.
Well, and, you know, I think if Brian, such time he's back, if you're not available.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Brian would be the secondary, but I don't have my phone with me. Yeah, I do. You got his number? Okay, yeah, give him his number because I'd have to look it up.
All right, Brian is 256-709-5188.
Please, 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 for your safety and for your security, don't ever go out on your own to call the police or call child welfare or call anyone and say you think there's an abusive situation. Bring that to me. There are several reasons for that. The number one reason is I have malpractice insurance through the church. Malpractice. Just like a doctor, I have to have malpractice insurance. Because if I give someone bad advice or wrong advice or make a phone call that might get somebody in trouble, pastors have been sued for that in the past. You don't have malpractice insurance. I do. I'm insured if somebody sues us. The second reason that it should always be myself or Brian is that we have the resources to possibly look further into it to find out, is there a reason, is there a legitimate reason or concern for making that phone call? I have a situation right now in the preschool where I suspect mom is being abused. I strongly suspect mom is being abused. But mom won't say anything and denies anything is going on, so I can't make that phone call. Because if she won't tell me, she won't tell the authorities. So I suspect it's going on. I have good reasons to suspect it's going on, but she has been approached and asked if everything was okay at the house, if everything was okay at home, and she always talks about how great and wonderful things are. So that's the end of the discussion.
Or it could be the dad doing it.
It very well could be the dad doing it. It's really interesting. Children will protect the abuser. You would think that the first thing a child would do is tattletale on the abuser. It's really odd. A child will not only protect the abuser, but if mom and dad are in the same room and the kid walks in, he'll go to the abuser instead of the other one. In their mind, if they're good enough, if they're nice enough, if they're sweet enough, if they don't cause enough too many problems or trouble, then the abuser won't abuse them anymore, so they show more love to the abuser than they do to the other parent. Same thing with women being abused. The overwhelming majority of the time, the woman will tell you it's her fault. She will not blame her abuser. She will tell you, I burnt supper, or I got home late, or I didn't get the right clothes. She'll come up with them.
He was drinking. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, he was drinking. He didn't know what he was doing. If you suspect that there is a concern for safety, but for three things, him or herself, that's your number one concern. Or is their safety being endangered in a way that needs to be reported and looked into? Secondly, have they made credible threats? Have they literally said, if I catch so-and-so out alone, you can bank on it, I'm going to beat them half to death? You report that. The third reason is that if there is a safety concern about, extremely important, about yourself, if you don't feel safe going to that house, don't go. Come to me as the crisis manager, come see me, and I will then investigate the situation, and the supervisors and I will get together and talk about the situation. But if you don't feel safe, you don't go. Even if they call you and say, I need to talk to you so bad today, my husband's not at home, so you don't have to worry about it. No. Because number one, you don't know that she's telling the truth, that her husband's not home. And number two, you don't know that he might not come home while you're there visiting. If you have any concern for your safety, please don't go. Can you think of a situation where you would need the crisis manager to help you?
What was the question?
Can you think of a situation where you would need a crisis manager? Where you would need me to step in?
We don't know what we're going to be dealing with, so we don't know.
That's a good point. You don't know what all you're going to deal with. Understand that needing a crisis manager is a very seldom thing. Has O. Stevens Ministry ever had a crisis? Hasn't since I've been here, I know. Right, yeah, we've made references before. But I know since I've been here, we've not had a situation that needed a crisis manager. We've had situations. We had one situation where the person was expecting the Stephen minister to give her answers. She was expecting answers. And when the Stephen minister made it clear, that's not what we're there for. We're not there to give answers. We're there to listen and to provide comfort. When it was made clear that Stephen's minister was not going to give her answers and tell her what to do, she broke off the relationship. She was looking for someone, she was looking for a scapegoat. She was looking for a scapegoat. And be careful that you don't get yourself into a situation where you're the scapegoat. And I have made that mistake of where somebody made me into the scapegoat, and it caused a lot of trouble at the church. I made the mistake of telling someone what I thought they should do. And the first thing they did was went and told the other person. It's the first thing they did. There was absolutely zero confidentiality on their part. First thing they did, well, he said I should do this, this, or this. And within minutes after they left my office, I had a phone call from the DS and an appointment with the DS and the bishop. Because I had given bad advice, which wasn't bad advice. It really is what she needed to do. So we've been fortunate not to run into that, but if you do, I'm your first phone call, and then if you can't get me, then Brian is your next phone call. When the safety of your care receiver or others is a concern, you will most likely work the process described in your pre-class reading, in which case your care receiver may be the one calling for additional help, or you may be calling on behalf of the care receiver. And as your pre-class reading described, if there's imminent danger to someone's safety, call 911 first. I hate to say this, but call me first. I need to be the one that makes the 911 call. You need
Stay out of it.
You need to be shielded from the situation. And trust me, calling me is only going to add a minute or so to the process. But if you call 911 and you're wrong, oh, it can get ugly. Call me. Let me call 911. That way, if something does come back, it doesn't come back on you, it comes back on me. Because what you tell me is confidential. Just like what your caregiver tells you is confidential, what you tell me about a bad situation is confidential, and the only way I'll break that confidentiality is if I have to divulge something to the police or DHO. We owe, myself, Sandra, Bob, Dora, all of us that have been trained leaders, we owe what's called a mandatory reporter. If we strongly suspect that any kind of abuse is going on, we are required by law to make that phone call. You're not a mandatory reporter. You are not a trained leader. This training is for you to be a Stevens minister, not a Stevens leader. You're not a mandatory reporter. We are. Stephen Ministry crisis managers and other managers are mandatory reporters. So you always have that shield to stand behind, that someone else makes that phone call instead of you. And it really should be me making that phone call. And then when you have an opportunity, follow up with Stephen Ministry crisis contacts, because you're going to call the crisis contact first. Keep in mind that these exceptional situations are rare. We've never had one that we've had any issues with. Most Stevens ministers will never encounter them, but it's important for us to cover them just in case. Also, if you ever encounter such a situation, you won't have to deal with it alone. Myself or Brian will be ready to support you and help determine what to do to get access to the necessary help. Wendy is in my office from time to time, describing a situation to me and asking me what should we do. Wendy makes the phone call, but not until she's conferred with me and we've talked about it. I don't make that phone call because I'm not the head of daycare. She is. As the head of daycare, she's a mandatory reporter. She has to make it. But she never makes that phone call unless even if I'm not in, she will call me on the phone and we either will discuss it on the phone or I will immediately come back to the office. So we have had situations in the daycare. We haven't had any here. We're right about on time. When you're around 40 to 42 minutes into the session, transition into the 15-minute break. So we're an hour into the session. Let's go ahead and take the 15-minute break now.
All righty. Now we're going to move on to Confidentiality Challenge Skill Builder. And in this one, we're supposed to do pairs, and obviously it's not easy to do that right now. So we're going to be doing it a different way. But we'll read this introductory part, and then we'll go over what we're going to do. You've learned the basic guidelines of confidentiality, as well as how to tell your care receiver about confidentiality, how to respond to inquirers, and how to get help if you sense there's a risk of harm to someone. Now you'll have a chance to use your knowledge and strengthen your skills in some skill builder sets. Kind of get a little role playing here. These skill builders are designed to give you an opportunity to practice responding to a wide variety of situations involving confidentiality. All right, it says to begin by forming pairs, but we're going to use all three. We'll do 5 sets of skill builders, and you'll take turns playing the Stephen minister in each set. Note that all these skill builders, the person who isn't the Stephen minister initiates the conversation, and the Stephen minister responds. All right, so for the first one, all right, person A will be the Stephen minister, and person B will be the care receiver. Your instructions in Focus Note 10 on page 197. If you want to go ahead and turn to that. But read only the part about your role. Person A, read only the Stephen minister part. Person B, read only the care receiver part. Then after you both read your parts, person B, the care receiver, will initiate the conversation. You have 2 minutes, so each of you read your parts and begin. We're going to start going, you be A, you be B. So you're going to be the care receiver. Yeah, for this round, you just pay attention to what they're discussing. And Hazel, you read the section B of the care receiver, and you start the conversation in Focus Note 10.
Oh, the care receiver starts?
Yeah, care receiver starts. Just read your instructions. Read your instructions.
In that focus note,
Yeah.
Connie, you read what it says about Stephen's ministry,
Okay.
but not the other. Hazel, you read what it says about just to yourself, what it says about care receiver, but not the other. And when you're done, then you start.
Read.
Read? Okay. You're reading?
You don't have to read.
No, don't read out loud. Just read it to yourself.
Read myself.
Yeah, because Connie's not supposed to be reading it.
You don't make Connie know that.
Okay. Okay.
So
Proceed.
I start showing. Okay.
Okay.
No, you start. Care receiver
Oh,
starts.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all got us confused. Shit.
I think you're supposed to ask me, can you tell me more about confidentiality? I had already read it before, no telling me how to.
All right, Hazel, you start.
We're talking about confidentiality.
So I
You
read
read
that part.
You don't have to read it, just say what it, just
Oh.
ask the question.
So do you know that, is it my first time coming?
Yes.
Okay, now you got me.
Questions
All right.
about
Oh, confidentiality, okay. Now, you know, I know that someone's talked to you about this. You know that anything you tell me is going to be kept confidential.
No, you're the care receiver. The pastor told me Stephen Ministry is confidential. Can you tell me more about that?
Tell me more about that. Okay.
Any questions about that?
No,
Did I explain that well?
sounds good to me.
Okay.
I thought that is.
Okay, all right, we'll move on to the next one, and I think you'll become more clear of what you're doing here.
Okay.
The idea for the skill builder is for you to get comfortable talking with a care receiver about confidentiality, so you can find the words and phrases that accurately communicate about confidentiality and feel natural to you. All right. In the second, which is it's a focus note 11, it's going to be what we're doing on it. It's also on that same page. And in this set, we're gonna shift down one. Hazel, you're the Stephen minister. You just read the part for the Stephen minister. You're the care receiver. You read the part for the care receiver, and you start out by asking the questions as a care receiver. Focus note 11.
We read it to ourselves first.
Yes. Just read your part of it.
All right.
I think I know.
Okay. I understand that, I think I understand maybe how the process works, but I don't understand how the supervision works. So how do you keep things confidential? Was that not my job?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You did.
That's fine.
That's what you're supposed to do. Now, Hazel, you respond with how confidentiality is maintained.
I do what?
Respond to how confidentiality is maintained in the.
Everything you tell me will be kept confidential. You go no further.
You're not going to tell anybody else.
No, ma'am.
Thinking, and I'm getting in my mind that I'm listening to what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm
I can
ready
assure
to,
you, it will be kept confidential.
I really want to do this, but it's tough sometimes.
Well, now, I understand that. You can tell people about me. I cannot. I will not. I promise you, I will not.
Do we tell people about
You can't. The care receiver can tell anybody she wants to anything she wants to.
about the person, about the actual person?
You can tell anybody anything you want to as a care receiver. As a care receiver, they aren't bound to they're not sworn to confidentiality or anything. It only applies to the Stephen minister. So the care receiver, you can tell everybody you want to if you want. I know a few of them that did, and it's okay. That's okay. But now, if somebody comes back and asks her a question, are you visiting with Francis? I've heard that you're. She says, "I'm sorry, all that's confidential. We're never would divulge that kind of information." And so, I couldn't confirm or deny that. Basically,
But like
I believe you then.
in the supervision meetings where all the state ministers come together, that's kind of what this is talking about, right?
yes, but it's overall,
We
it's
need
not.
to be sure to let them know that we never divulge.
That's
their
right.
name or anything that they've told us about what's going on.
That's correct. Yes, and as we get into some of these others, it gets a little more specific, I think, about some of that kind of stuff, where they're specifically asking about what you share with other people in those meetings. And it's good to, these are supposed to be good to help you have answers in mind when they do have those kind of concerns about, we're just going to go discuss it with your buddies in the Stephen Ministry program, like it's just, like this is a secret society that's going to be hearing all about everybody's problems. And it's up to you to reassure them that, no, that's not what we do. I think we kind of, this skill thing, we're going to skip right over that. A key to explaining supervision is to remain non-anxious and communicate concisely and confidentially. Most of the time, care receivers won't have any concerns about supervision. So any doubts or anxiety shown by the Stephen minister could possibly create concerns for the care receiver. To help prevent that, give your explanation simply and assertively. Let your care receiver know that the purpose of supervision is to support you as a Stephen minister so you can offer the best care possible, and that supervision is done very carefully to preserve confidentiality. Most care receivers will be fine with that. And you'll learn as we do the sessions on supervision, how supervision, it really has nothing specific to do with your care receiver. It's a support group for you in your relationship with that care receiver. And you do discuss that you're visiting people, but you do not divulge who it is, what the problem is. You talk about what your concerns are about the relationship. I feel like maybe I'm letting them get too dependent on me, or I feel like I'm maybe not handling this right. What are some? And we even have cards that I don't know that people use them very much, that we're given though when we do Stephen leader training about ways to focus in on what might be problems and how to discuss that. But it's more for the Stephen minister, not for that relationship. And you need to have a way of explaining that to people if they question you about what goes on in your secret meetings, which a lot of people have that concept, and not everybody, but a lot of people do. Okay, we're going to move on to the session of these. We'll begin our next skill builder. For this one, use focus note 13 on page 198. All right, we're going to start back over up here, and we're going to we need to start with her. We need to start with you, and you will be the Stephen minister in this one, and Connie will be the care receiver. So just read the part on focus note 13 for you read Stephen minister part, and you read the care receiver part, Connie. And when you're through, then Connie, you start the conversation. And you can talk, there's nobody, you don't have to keep your voice down because everybody's in the same group today. So you can talk loud enough for her to hear you. Whenever you're ready, Connie, you can start.
Now, you told me about this supervision group that takes once a month, but I'm not real sure about that. I feel a little uneasy about that. You kind of tell me more about the purpose of that?
When we meet, it's so we can share with each other, but we don't share anything about you. We everything is confidential, and we never talk about a particular person. We are together to see what we can do to help you, or see how we can, or to help each other and to be more in tune to your needs.
Okay, so they don't know that you're saying that.
Nobody will know that I'm sick.
That makes me feel
Ever.
better. That makes me feel better.
Okay.
We're kind of used to this with our hospital visits.
Yeah, y'all probably have had a lot of experience with that, so that
I really haven't.
much easier for you
In
to
an office.
relate to. Yeah, with working in the medical field, that's one of the first things you learn if you're going to work in medical field at all. Is you don't
And
the cancer patients
Yeah.
that
you don't
we
you
see.
you know that you don't go out and just share everything with the world. Sometimes it's hard too.
Well, if it's anybody that knows me, go ahead. I mean, they just
We're going to get to that later.
and I just say, well, no, I'm just here for you.
That's right. All right. The supervision is a new concept for many people, so care receivers may have many questions about how supervision works and how it honors confidentiality. Most of the time, you'll be able to put care receivers at ease by explaining that you won't tell your group the identity of your care receiver and that the group focuses primarily on the caring relationship itself, not on the care receiver. You're also going to have people that don't really care if anybody knows. You know that. I mean, they whatever their problem is, the whole world knows it anyway. But you still keep it confidential, whether they care or not. You care. So if they won't tell everybody in the world, some of them will. They can, but you just can't. All right. Now we'll continue with the situation described in Focus Note 14. This time, person B. Well, we're going to skip around here again. We're rotating it so each of you get to try on each side of the situation. So, Connie, you will be the care receiver this time. And Hazel, you'll be the Stephen minister this time. So,
14.
yeah, you read the Stephen minister's part and get prepared. And then, Connie, when you're ready.
I'm Stephen Minister, right? I'm
Yeah,
Stephen
yeah,
Minister.
you are.
Okay.
I'm you're the church member.
All right.
Hey, so I've heard that you've gone through the state ministry training and you're a state minister. What exactly do state ministers do?
Well, with this, I will set up a time to meet where, and I will come back place with you if you're a caring receiver. And I will listen to you, all your problems, which problem you're in right now. It will be kept confidential. I will not tell anybody. Nobody will know it's you. They don't know when we meet or anything like that. And I will just listen. I just listen.
That's good. You did good. You did good.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, now I've heard that y'all have, the state ministers have a meeting once a month.
Correct.
You all come together.
Correct.
How does that work about me?
Those Stephen ministers do not know your name. They will not know what you talk about, anything like that. It's mostly to help us help the Stephen ministers deal with things that maybe they can't handle or anything. It's just mostly for them and not for you.
Okay. Well,
I say that right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Okay. I
Yeah.
feel better.
Everything, even those Stephen ministers are held responsible or
Accountable.
to keep their
There's
confidentiality. So, no, I will not tell them who I have. The only person that can tell that is you.
Right. Keep in mind that if our goal was to solve a problem, then supervision might be, here's a problem we got. I'm not sure exactly how to help her deal with that.
Yeah.
But that's not what you as a Stephen minister do anyway.
Right.
So your supervision is just to help you with your relationship with that person, because that's really what you're there for, is to build that relationship so they'll continue to talk themselves into their own solution through the help of God who you represent. And so there's really not, it's not like I was helping my daughter with her homework yesterday and we got this problem, right? Out of work. Can y'all help me? How am I going to help her solve that problem? We're not solving problems. And so keep that perspective in mind and it makes the supervision thing easier to explain because that's not what we do anyhow.
We've had the subject come up in the supervisory meeting.
I can't hear you.
We've had it come up in the supervisory meeting that my care receiver and our relationship just doesn't seem. That has happened.
That's what we work on.
Yeah.
Or at what time is it okay to
In
start praying together? How is your relationship advancing spiritually? We talk about those kinds of things. That's where we work in supervision, not in, well, what's her problem anyhow? I say, well, Cal's got out the other day and ran over the neighbor's
I
chickens. And now she's worried about that. That's not what we do.
a thing we talk about a lot is it time to end the relationship? Everything is going great and maybe we've accomplished our purpose and it's time for it to be over. We talk about that or the supervisor might ask you, so are we ready to end it? So those kinds of things, it's housekeeping.
It's a lot of thinking.
But also
Not.
in supervision, and this is something we have to get back to too. There is some discussion, but most of the reports are written. And if we will write those on the forms that were given and then just read, you can be pretty particular as you're writing.
If what you say.
You don't divulge anything. And then when you read that, you still haven't divulged anything. We tend to get a little more free wheeling. And when that happens, that's when confidentiality can be an issue.
Also, it goes on longer if you're just really talking about it than if you just read what you write down.
We have, because we haven't had a lot of care receivers in the last year or so, we've gotten a little more lax with the.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Now, I'm not asking for names or anything like that. Do we have a lot or several care receivers?
I'll put it this way. We know of quite a few people that could use a care receiver. Now, whether they want one or not, we have no way of knowing. And Robert there's been a few that he's approached. But I think what we're trying to work on, is to get people really familiar with what Stephen ministers do. Because so many people have the wrong concept of what we're here for. And they think, that wouldn't apply to me. When really it does, because it covers anything. I mean, I saw a statement one day that said that we're the people that are there when you get the worst phone call of your life and you need some help, whether it be, a divorce or a new baby that you're having trouble dealing with, or those sorts of things. But we're also there as people age and develop the problems with aging and dealing with those problems. And that's what we get a lot more than anything else, is people that have just gotten to that stage of their life that they're having trouble dealing with life in general. Not necessarily a big situation like a death or a divorce or something along those lines, but just with the effects of what life is bringing on them. Or it may be a death that they never really got over. I mean, I had a lady one time that her husband had been dead 2 or 3 years, but she still hadn't dealt with it and needed to have somebody to talk it out with. Her family was tired of listening to her, and so she just quit talking about it, but it was still bothering her. So we're trying to get the word out as to what all we can help with. A job loss. If you've lost your job and you're just feeling like you're worthless and can't supply for your family or whatever, you need somebody to talk to. Your family is not the person to discuss it with. You need somebody to talk to.
You know, this needs to be talked about more in church.
Amen. We've been saying that. We've been saying that.
There
We've been
needs
saying that for years.
somebody needs to.
People have an understanding that, hey, we can pick up something. Grocery store card, we can take you to get appointments. That's not it. We don't do things like that. We listen. Period.
Care.
And care. Correct.
Okay, we'll move back to this
I'm
now.
sorry.
No. We need this kind of discussion. This is what we're doing. This is what this class is about, is to get get you to understand what it's all about and what's required of a Stephen minister, what you can and can't do, and the whole ins and outs of the program. It's not just to stick to a script, which we try to do, but not always. We can't. All right. By the way, that one was about a church member that was asking about supervision because he or she was going through a difficult time and was interested in possibly getting a Stephen minister. I'm sure you all picked up on that right away. And I have said to people, if they've had this kind of discussion about I've said, if you or anyone feels like they need a Stephen minister, let me know and I'll get in touch with the right person to contact you. Okay, and that's not inappropriate to do. Just yes, Stephen ministry can help. Might well be able to help you, and you tell me if you are interested in talking to somebody. We move from there. If you ever do encounter someone who might benefit from having a Stephen ministry, it's good to tell the person a little about how Stephen ministry works and how the person might get a Stephen minister. You would never promise a Stephen minister to someone, since your Stephen leaders would need to talk with the person to determine whether Stephen ministry was the right kind of care. But you thought the person's needs might be appropriate for Stephen ministry, you could say, let me put you in touch with one of our Stephen leaders who can tell you more about Stephen ministry and help determine whether it's right for you. And then you'll get the person's permission to connect him or her with one of the Stephen leaders. And then one of us or Robert will contact them. Robert likes to be the one that contacts them, and it actually is best when he contacts them initially. And then if they agree to it, then me or Doyle one will go make the contact to actually get them acclimated and signed up if they're, if they really are interested in them.
When Chuck was here, Chuck Morgan was here, he wasn't part of sleeping.
And he didn't support it as much. Just because he didn't.
One of us would go out and talk to people here, Robert.
Yeah, we didn't have the benefit of a minister that had been through the Stephen leader training and wanted to be a part of Steve. Robert and me and Steve Rogers took the Stephen leader training all at the same time. We had to do it online because it was COVID and they wouldn't let us go to Chicago or somewhere to take the class.
Robert and I, Lady Adams and John went to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Y'all got a nice weekend trip out of it.
And Bob's mother was like, and stayed there.
And later, I lived the hall with.
Yeah, at Florida somewhere.
Orlando.
Yeah, and took the training. Linda had to resign a while back, and I miss Linda. She was a good worker. Anyway, now move on to our next skill builder. This one, focus note 16. We will have let's see, which we had. You were the Stephen minister in that last one.
I think so.
All right, so you'll be the care receiver in this one, and
Receive.
and Francis will be the Stephen minister.
Okay.
So read your respective parts on focus note 16, and when the care receiver is ready, you can start the conversation.
Oh, I've been thinking. I think I tell you too much stuff about myself. I think we need to start thinking and talking about something else. You seen a good movie lately?
I don't go to the movies that much, but I'm glad to come here and be with you and listen to you. What do you think? What do you think
Well,
we've
it's just-
done that's
I just feel like I've told you too much stuff about me and what's going on. And I'm afraid that other people are going to hear about it.
they're not going to hear about it from me? Um, I'm, I'm very concerned about you and would love to continue to be here and listen to you. If you feel that way, if you want to take a little vacation, or if you want to, but I'm really concerned about you, and I have nothing you tell me goes anywhere else. It's just it just stays with me. Is there anything else I can do to make you feel more confident or more?
Well,
I don't want to push you. I don't want to push you to do anything you don't.
what do you think I'm telling you too much?
I think that you should tell me what you feel like telling, and it would be your decision whether it's too much or not. I don't think, from my point of view, I don't think it's too much because I somehow think that those are things you want to get off, that you want to share. You don't want to keep it all in. But, again, it's up to you.
I like you coming here and I like talking, but I just think sometimes I go overboard.
No.
Yay, y'all did a great job.
It sounds like there's more you want to share.
That was good. That was real good. I'm impressed. You see, you learn what these exercises are about. It gets easier. That's why I like that they had a group of them kind of together that kind of about different topics, but kind of played on each other. So we're going to go on to the next one. Okay. All right, this one will be on Focus Note 17. It's on page 200. And let's see, we're going to move to Francis will be the care receiver, and Connie will be the Stephen. Nope, let's see. It was you two. Yeah, that's right. Connie will be the Stephen minister. And whenever you've read your parts, you can start when you feel ready.
You ready? John, I've never told anybody that before. Just forget about what I said. I never told anybody.
Francis, thank you for sharing with me. I care about you. Know that whatever you tell me stays with me. And I hope you know that in your sharing with me that that I do care about you and what's happened and going on with the loss of your loved one.
But some you know how hard that was.
Yeah.
But you also know that what I told you about some of the things I'm so ashamed about what I did with them before they died, or how I didn't, the things I didn't do. I feel so ashamed that it took the loss of this before I realized what I had actually done. I mean, I feel so bad about it. I could have done so many things better.
Well, I feel like your loved one knew that you were doing and caring for them the best that you could.
You really think they think that?
I feel like that just knowing you and how you care for other people. I just feel that's who you are.
Well,
I
I
mean, we've been in this relationship for a while now, and you've shared things with me all along and opened yourself up. And I hope you know that you can do that anytime, and that whatever you say, it stays with me, goes no further.
well, it really makes me feel better to have you come and this is me. Maybe I'll continue. I mean, I'm really thankful that you come.
I'm thankful that I'm able to come and be with you, and I hope you know that you can trust me.
Again, like Bob said a while ago, that's a good opportunity to say, is there something on your heart today that you feel like you need to share? I mean, is there more that you want to share? Encourage them. Once you confirm that, yes, I want to hear that, I care about you, I love you, well, just a little bit of encouragement. Well, is there something that's bothering you today that you, or any time that you'd like to share it? I'd love to hear it. You just feel free to. Sometimes people need encouragement to talk more. There's a lot of places in Europe where it says, oh, well, you say, well, that's fascinating, or that's really interesting. Tell me more about why you feel that way, or tell me more about what's going on, to continue the conversation and get them comfortable again with moving on with it, you know. But yeah, that was good. That was good. Main thing is making the relationship stronger and the relationship better. That's what you're trying to work on most every time that you have a conversation with them, is that trust could grow and that they feel more comfortable with, because sometimes it takes a long time for people to get down to wanting to share what's really deep down in their heart that's really bothering them, because they feel like they're embarrassed by it, or it's something they don't want to admit to themselves really that's bothering them.
But
And
she comes
it's
through me a little bit when she talked about she didn't think she had done everything she could do.
yeah. But you know what? Majority of people that's lost a loved one have those feelings that they didn't do enough, they did something wrong, or that they could have done more.
They should have been able to fix it.
I've been there in numerous situations that I thought I wasn't as compassionate, I wasn't as caring as I should have been. I wasn't as, you know.
And would you say, what do you, tell me why you feel that way, or something like, or what do you think you could have done more?
Why?
No, yeah. Why?
Don't ask why.
Why requires them to have a reason, excuse, and they don't know why.
Yeah. Somewhere in this literature it says why has a connotation of accusation.
Putting them on the defense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it sounds like you're still struggling with some things. Tell me some more about that, or would you like
Yeah.
to share even more? I mean, she's talking about, I don't want to, maybe I shared too much, just forget that. It sounds like we're getting down to some things that, like you said, you hadn't shared before, but maybe you want to. Can you tell me more now?
Yeah.
Yeah, in those questions, what we're we're interested in what?
Is this the time when you could ask, have you prayed about it? Or can you work that in?
Depending on
It depends on your relationship and whether they're people that you know pray and that you've prayed together and you know that's a part of their life. If you don't know that, and it's
Then don't
almost,
miss it.
no, it's really kind of like, it's almost like you don't know if they pray or not.
Right.
And you're not there to impose any religion on them. I mean, you're there to show God's love and God's care, but you don't want something that makes them feel like there's something wrong, that they're not in a church, or they're not. I mean, that kind of comes along with you showing them your faith. I mean, it's okay for you to mention your faith, or that you pray about. I mean, that just don't make it a big focus that would make like an accusation that.
Can you say, and I thought about this when they were having that discussion.
Is it something you'd like to pray
I'm
about?
not going to talk about this with anybody else except God.
Yeah.
And I will, because
I will pray
for you daily, and these are some things that okay?
Yeah, I would think it's okay. I mean, they should know that you're from a church. You're from a church.
And even if they're not a person to pray,
that you are.
could still.
And some, it's sometimes that's something you have to start gradually build on a little bit. Don't but once they know you and they know that about you, and I don't see anything wrong when they know that you pray and that you're praying for them to say, if you ever feel like you'd like me to pray with you about this, I'll be glad to pray with you. Don't put it on the position of saying, yeah, I want to or not, but just if you'd like me to pray with you about this, I'd be happy to do it now or whenever in the future you feel like you'd like to pray about this, because that comes with building the relationship, and when they get to know you and they know you're my grandkids say you're a church person, and that that you are have told them that you pray for them, and they know that about you, then it's not a big like jump into something. So my thoughts anyway. Has there been anything in this? I'm just going over these questions we should discuss in some of these, and there's one of them. Has there been anything in these exercises that you might find helpful in explaining confidentiality, or that might be helpful in hearing it explained? Is there anything that stood out to you that was something you hadn't thought about that somebody else brought up? Yeah, that's good. Y'all seem to have a concept. Have a grasp on the whole concept. So, even though care receivers learn about confidentiality at the very beginning of the caring relationship, it's helpful to reassure them about confidentiality from time to time, so they know they're free to share their thoughts and feelings without fear. Let them know you won't judge them for what they say, and you keep what they say confidential. That's one thing that's really important. Never make them feel like you're judging them for what they've told you. Even if it's something that almost internally you did that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did that. Never make them feel that way. Because that would be a roadblock to have to overcome. And most of y'all wouldn't do that anyway. But it's just one of those things that if they're feeling judgmental on themselves about it, and you do when you feel like you should have done something you didn't do. Anyway, we're gonna move on. 4. And now we'll move on to our next skill builder. For this one, use focus note 19 on page 201. All right, we went with, you were the Stephen minister in that one, Connie?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be the care receiver and you'll be the Stephen minister, Hazel.
I'm who?
The Stephen minister. You read the Stephen minister's part?
Yeah, on number 19.
Focus note 19, yeah. And Connie, you do the acquaintance. And when you're ready, you can start.
Oh, hey, I saw you the other day with Chris at the coffee shop. I didn't really know that y'all knew each other.
Oh,
How's he doing? I've been concerned about him lately.
really?
Yeah.
What seems concerning about it?
Well, he's just been feeling, he seems to be feeling a little better today.
I didn't read that one good. The thing is, if you're concerned about it, you need to talk to him. Be asking me.
I thought since you were talking to him, that goes.
And
As you can tell me, I I mean, you sat there and talked to him, and you don't know anything about him. You're not Francis. We're slow learners, but we're good.
What minute, Hazel? How do you go in?
do I tell her the Stephen minister?
No,
No, that's what I was
I
thinking.
can't do that.
Okay. All right.
That silence. I'm thinking, what would I say?
I was thinking, what would I say? I'm thinking, what would Hazel say?
I've known Chris for a while, but I believe in when someone tells you something that you don't tell other people. It's the confidentiality thing. So therefore, I think that if you're concerned about Chris, that you really need to talk to Chris.
That's good.
Well,
That's good.
I guess you called me out.
No, that was good. You didn't say as a student minister. You just said that I just believe that you should keep things people tell you, and you should.
Yeah. I mean, what else you say?
That was it.
I mean, I don't
Sometimes.
I don't need to tell her that I'm a Stephen minister.
No. No.
Not in that situation.
Trying to give you a hard time.
I did okay.
That's perfect. I couldn't figure out what to say.
That was all good. That was good. Well, since we're a little running on a little behind, I'm going to move on to the next one because that one we didn't have to discuss a whole lot. All right. The next one is on focus note 20. I think it's on the same page as that one you just did. And we're going to shift and you be the care receiver, Hazel, and
Care
Francis will be the Stephen minister.
It's not care receiver.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
You be the friend.
Okay, I'm reading. Okay. I'm a really good friend of Jordan. We were talking the other day, and he told me that you were his Stephen minister. I'd like to hear a little more about that.
I don't like the way this started.
Yes. Same thing, right?
Was I say that right?
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Francis is the one that
Trying to figure out what I'm going to say.
No. I'm a really good friend of George, and he told me that they were sure to you his Stephen minister. I would really like to help him, and I kind of like to know a little more about this Stephen ministry thing. What's that all about?
I can do this. I plead the fifth.
I cannot confirm or deny what you just said.
What would you say? I mean, I'm obviously, Jordan has been telling people about it, and and you don't want to say I can't talk to you about it.
Just, we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't talk.
Yeah, and no, you can just say, Stephen ministers do not discuss whether they are seeing anybody or what they discuss when they do. And I'm sorry, I can't divulge any information about. Just Stephen ministers in general do not divulge that kind of information. So
Like, yeah, George.
Yes, I am Stephen minister, but we can't.
do you confirm that you are here, or just that I am a Stephen minister? Yeah.
So that then they know that you're not just imagining what Stephen ministers do.
Yeah.
I am a Stephen minister, but as Stephen minister, we can't talk about relationships or whether they exist or not, or particularly what goes on inside them.
Yeah.
But if you're a good friend of Jordan, you might talk to him about it.
Yeah. That's good. I'm kind of like Francis, like, duh. Duh.
I get the part now about I am a Stephen's minister, but I can get over it.
Right.
I mean, I know a way to begin.
Yeah.
Right there, I mean, right.
Yeah.
At the beginning there, I just like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and most people know, especially if they're within the church, they know who the Stephen ministers are. We try to make sure people know who our Stephen ministers are in case they, want to talk to one or something. Although they don't say, I want to go talk to so-and-so. But anyway, we do want our Stephen ministry group to be known. That's what we say. We're trying to get the word out more to people, what we do. And,
I am a Stephen minister, but as such, we don't talk about the people we visit. It's not our, I would have to think a minute about the phrasing of that, but, okay.
It's none of your business, don't worry.
Okay, just be real smart about it.
Don't talk about the relationship.
Yeah, you probably don't have to get into a whole argument with them.
Why I don't, okay, I got it. I'm done.
Okay.
You have any more questions? Go for it.
And you could say, if you have concerns about Jordan, then I would suggest that he's a good friend that you talk to Jordan. But not much else you can say to that, really. All right,
There's a lot of learning we have done today.
there has been a lot. I mean, this whole session has been crammed full of stuff. All right, so we're going to move on to set 5. Responding to a relative. Now, this gets to be a little bit more difficult.
Now, what now?
Yeah, we're going to move on to that one. Now, Francis.
I think it's their turn.
Yeah, you're the family member in this one, and Connie is the Stephen minister. So, Francis, you read your part, and then you start when you're finished reading your part.
Okay, you ready? Maybe. Oh, come on in. Jamie is out. She's on her way back, but she just come on in and have a seat, and she'll be here in just a few minutes.
I'll make myself at home. I'll wait on her.
I've really been wondering about what's going on with her. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad you see her often. But and she really seems to appreciate what you're doing. But can you tell me a little bit about how she's really doing?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not. Everything that we discussed is confidential, so I'm not at liberty to discuss.
Well, I wouldn't let it out of here. I just, that's just clear, and I could tell there's a difference sometimes, and I just don't know what's.
Well, I understand your concern, but again, our relationship is confidential, and the things that we talked about, I do keep confidential. That's kind of the bottom line of it.
I just wondered what she told.
Oh, there's Jim now.
I'm so glad to see you.
That one you may get more often than some of these others.
Yeah.
You would need to probably call her Jamie.
Okay. I'll give it.
That scenario may come up more commonly than a lot of the others.
And there's a situation where they already know that
Yeah,
you are.
you can't deny it.
So that part is already, but.
One more time.
Sometimes it's because the family member would like to know what they might have told you about them that they
But it
concern. Yeah, it is. A lot of times it is concern.
But you could say, it sounds to me like you want the help, maybe you could go to Stephen minister training. We're starting to do that.
You would understand why.
So do you ever run into where people, relatives or whoever, friends, want to stay in the room?
Now that's coming up.
That's my question.
Nice that you say that, but that's going to come up. And I guess you're glad to hear this. This next one is our last one in this series. And it's on 203, focus note 23.
Connie and Hazel.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
This will be, let's see, person A. All right. So this time you're the care receiver sibling,
Okay.
and you're the Stephen minister, Hazel. So read your parts, and when you're ready, you can go.
Hey. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Now, you're through Stephen Minister, right?
Well,
I mean, she told me that you were.
okay, but I can't confirm that. There's a code of confidentiality for Stephen Minister. I can't tell you that I am. I can't tell you that not.
Well, she won't tell me what's going on about this divorce. I mean, she hasn't divulged one iota of information. And I thought maybe since you've been distant her every week, I know y'all talked about it, that you might just kind of put me in on how she is and what's going on.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't put anything.
Well, that's the PS.
Can you talk to her about this?
I tried to, and she won't divulge anything. And I know she's having a hard time, and I just want to try to help her. Why won't you let me help?
I can't stop you from helping her.
Yeah, but if I don't know what's going on and you do, then you could give me a clue that I would know how to, what I could say or what I could do that would help her.
Have you
Some
asked
way.
her what you can do to help her?
Like I said, she won't tell.
Did
It's
I?
either she or me, anyway.
Well,
I mean, I feel helpless.
you
And I
don't
know
have to.
that you know a lot of things.
Woo!
Well, okay, that's if you're not gonna help me, then you can't help her.
Well, see, you didn't get down to the part of suggesting she let you sit in on the meeting so you could learn what else you can do. But it does come up.
It does.
Yeah.
It does come up.
Next time, just let me come and sit with y'all, and then I'll know how I can help her. That should be
Well,
allowed
again,
since,
I can't confirm it. I'm her Stephen Minister.
well,
Say I'm not.
like I said,
But-
tell me you were.
If she told you that,
But what about me coming and sitting when you come to see her?
I think you probably have to clear that with her.
No,
I know she's not gonna let me.
But what?
no. If you have if there's a relative there that when you go and they want to stay, you suggest assertively that I'm sorry, this is just between me, because you don't know if they're going to want them to or not. They're not going to tell them in front of them that they don't want them there. You just assertively say, I'm sorry. You'd have to talk to them about that, but for right now, my meeting with her today is between the two of us, and
And that would be,
I can't.
But there you go. We're contradicting ourselves. If I say my meeting with her, I've already talked.
But you're there. If you're there, if you've come to the house and they're there, and they're there,
I see. Okay.
You don't have to confirm it.
Again, good job, Hazel, of not divulging that you were her Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she said, can I sit in with her? And if you had said, no, Stephen Ministry says you can't.
No, that's right.
a one-on-one thing.
Okay.
Then you're
confirming.
saying I am.
You'd have to talk to them about it.
The thing is that I am a Stephen Minister, and I know that in Stephen Ministry, it's just a one-on-one thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Boy, you have to be quick.
well, yeah, you have to be quick and you have to be
You have,
evasive.
yeah, sometimes you do have to just kind of.
You've come up with some good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this says, in the last two situations were definitely more challenging. You're not likely to encounter a situation like that. But I want you to see what it might be like if someone pressured you very hard to know what was going on with your care receiver. so you could get a sense of how to respond. The only ones that we've had, and sometimes if you're seeing they got a man and his wife is still around and she's home. A lot of the times the way we handle that is we've wound up with a care receiver for the wife also that they can split.
Yeah.
Couples see
Charlotte and I have done that twice.
Yeah.
It works great. We'd come in, the man and I would stay up on the house in the den or whatever. Carolyn and the other one, the wife, go off somewhere. And then when they come back in, that ended.
Yeah.
That ended.
And you might have a nice visit, just the four of you.
And it did that.
Then to go out to eat.
You have broken confidentiality in that you know who your spouse's student
Yeah.
minister is, but that's awful.
Yeah.
That's,
And you got that's about the only way around that situation, or else they do like one I know that they just stayed together the whole time, and you wind up with both of them in there.
In both situations.
But it was by necessity. I mean, neither one of them could actually leave home, and it was not in one of those things where that there was a lot of personal stuff. I mean, it was a different setting altogether. So sometimes you find situations that we have to get creative with handling and do the best we can and to follow all the guidelines. Anyway, all right. We've discussed this. I'm not going to go through the discussion questions on it. I think we've covered most of them pretty well. If your care receiver has family members living in the same household of him or her, those family members will probably know you're the person's Stephen minister. You wouldn't share that information, but your care receiver most likely would. Even if the family members know for sure you're their loved one's Stephen minister, though, you would still keep anything your care receiver shares confidential. So most of the time, they will go somewhere if it's where they can. And most of the time, you can arrange ahead of time that if the care receiver requires someone with them, if they don't live alone and require someone with them, so you can arrange ahead of time to go while they're the other person can go run an errand while you're there with them. Sometimes it works good. But they're going to know who the care receiver, who the Stephen ministry is. You have no way around that. Like I said, you just handle situations. You know the basics and the basic ways they're handled. But we sometimes have to figure other ways that will work, and we've been creative sometimes. All right, Robert, we're still going to get you out of here by 11:30.
Let's use the Caregiver's Compass to think about this module. You have a copy of the Caregiver's Compass on page 204 in your outline. As we discuss the 4 points in the center of the Caregiver's Compass, write words or sentences that summarize what you have learned about each point. Let's begin with the point on top. What did you learn in this module about compassion? Being compassionate.
Okay.
Gee, don't everybody speak at once.
Being confidential is being compassionate because you're helping that person realize that they are able to share whatever with you.
You're exactly right. Keeping confidentiality is being compassionate. That person needs to know they have someone they can talk to who will not betray their trust, nor will repeat everything they hear. What about full of faith? How does keeping confidentiality go with being full of faith? Nobody? Praying. Keeping confidentiality helps that person keep faith in you. Them having faith in you is extremely important. And knowing that you will keep that confidentiality is a huge thing for them. And the more faith that they have in you, the more open they will be and the more they'll be willing to discuss the issues. Skilled. Confidentiality and skill. You spent the last 60, 70 minutes talking about different situations in which how you keep confidentiality. Let me tell you, keeping confidentiality, it's a skill because you have to constantly be aware of what you're saying and who you're saying it to. And if somebody looks at you and says, well, don't tell anybody, but whatever comes after that word, but you can't tell anybody. No matter how much you may want to, no matter how much you may think someone else needs to know what came after the word but. You cannot break confidentiality. Trustworthy. Same thing as full of faith. If your care receiver is going to trust you, then you have to keep confidentiality. They have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that anything they say to you will not go any further than you. Thoughts or discussion on the compass?
Word confidentiality, word confidence come from the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that confidence, you keep somebody's confidence, but it gives them the confidence to have faith in you and to trust you. And it's those two things that cause the relationship to grow to the depth that we hope it will.
Most definitely. We can't stress confidentiality enough because if all it takes is one time for someone to make a comment to your caregiver, to your care receiver, a comment they made to you, and you've blown all of your work. It just, unless, as we talked about in activity 3, unless it involves an immediate risk to someone, a risk or a chance of someone hurting themselves or someone else, confidentiality has to be kept. It's important. Looking ahead, the next module, number 10, will cover the topic of how to use the phone and other communication tools between visits to support the in-person care you'll provide as a Stephen minister. Prepare by studying the pre-class reading in your Stephen Minister Training Manual. You'll also want to read chapters 4 through 6, when and how to use mental resources in preparation for the session after that. Let's close our time together with prayer. So if you got looking ahead, pre-class reading in the Stephen Minister Training Manual and chapters 4 through 6, when and how to use mental health resources. Everybody got that?
We read all module 10.
Yes, all of module 10.
10, and then the
4 through
4
6.
through 6 and when and how.
Yes.
Right.
All right, let's have a word of prayer together. Lord God, you see all and you know all, yet you still forgive us, love us, and accept us. Thank you for equipping us to protect confidentiality so we can provide a safe setting for care receivers to experience your acceptance, sharing the deepest pains and receiving your gift of healing. Help us to guard what others tell us and protect their privacy. You have entrusted us with a great responsibility, and we trust you to shape us and bless us to serve our care receivers in the best ways possible. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I just got one call from Lori about Sellers has been moved where he was in
Madison.
ICU.
Yeah, he is in organ failure.
He's one.
Ralph is in organ failure. Everything's, his organs are shutting down. For whatever reason, they're starting to shut down.